So this year, federal top is going to be the U.S. Senate. That's a race that has largely been set. The candidates have been running for a year now. So first, we have our incumbent, John Cornyn, long-serving U.S. senator from the state of Texas, is, I think, the second or third in charge amongst Republicans in the majority party in Senate.
Right. He almost became leader of the Senate.
Right.
Actually,
Texas almost had the Senate majority leader, which would have been very cool. But so you have John Cornyn. Running against John Cornyn, there are multiple candidates, but really the top two most likely to actually be a challenge candidates are current Attorney General Ken Paxton and then Congressman Wesley Hunt. That is a race, to your point, Kyle, where if there wasn't the outcry from the base, you would not have Wesley Hunt or Ken Paxton running for the U.S. Senate.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how much outcry Wesley Hunt had, but definitely Ken Paxton. And that kind of goes back to, and there's really nothing wrong with it, in my opinion, but I think it kind of goes back to unrealistic expectations. And we've seen it throughout the years, like with the county parties and the censures and the this and the that. It's, this person's not doing everything exactly what I want. Let's go find someone that potentially will.
Right.
And of course, the greatest place to be running as a candidate is not in the hot seat. That's why Trump thrived in that position. Oh, right. I'll do this. It's a little bit different when now you have to defend what you've done and the realizations of I have to negotiate essentially with 99 other people.
Right. And one thing I'm going to say before we get into this, so A Better Texas, we don't endorse in contested Republican primaries. We're going to try to give you the straight truth, the straight facts as best we can about each of the candidates throughout this entire process. We want you as the voters to be the ones to make up your mind. There are a lot of factors to consider. Like we said, when you look at John Cornyn, Ken Paxton, Wesley Hunt, they're all Republican. They have, I think Wesley Hunt and John Cornyn are largely in the same lane. Ken Paxton is in more of the far right lane of the Republican Party. They each have their own flavor, right? Yeah. So, for example, I think where Wesley Hunt is, look, there is a big outcry to get younger in government. That these 70-plus-year-old, senators and congressmen, 80-year-old, all that sort of stuff.
It's getting bad.
There needs to be a changing of the guard. Personally, I think that's where Wesley Hunt comes in. He's an interesting guy. He campaigns well. When he's on podcasts and stuff like that, he does a good job. He can passionately advocate. I think him and John Cornyn, from a ideological standpoint, at least my perspective, is that they're largely in the same vein. Wesley Hunt's just a younger candidate. So I think that's where some of his base of support will be. Sure.
Yeah. I haven't followed Wesley Hunt that much just because it's kind of like it's already, honestly, with 3 is kind of a crowded field for a Texas U.S. Senate race, especially with an incumbent, especially someone like John Cornyn. He's already up on Capitol Hill. He's going to get a lot of money. He's going to have a lot of connections and a lot of really good endorsements.
Right.
So, Wesley Hunt, I don't know kind of what the angle is there. Probably national recognition or of some type, maybe. Who really knows? But it just seemed like a really crowded field. Like you said, Ken Paxton is kind of already working the far right base, I guess, if you want to say, more of the MAGA base, if you will. He's kind of taking that lane in its entirety. And so Cornyn and Wesley are kind of not running to the left, but if this was a 3-lane highway, they would definitely be to the left of Ken Paxton. So,
yeah,
we'll see how far this all goes. I think the most important thing, or the thing that I hope happens the most, is that we don't just drag this thing out and it's like goes to contested runoffs, and we just go all the way and not giving our candidates enough time to, one, recover, let their teams recover, rebuild the coffers, and then have a solid run
right
in November.
So a couple things. I don't know if I would say that Ken Paxton has 100% of MAGA.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say
Like,
100%. No.
John Cornyn is very in line with Trump. As a matter of fact, I think that's part of the reason you haven't seen Trump make an endorsement in this race. Because I'll remind everybody, 2024, 2024, when we had, 2020, when Abbott was being primaried by, a whole slew of people, Donald Trump endorsed Abbott really early on in that process. Right? I mean, he got out ahead of all of that. Abbott's my guy.
Yeah, who was running against
It was
Abbott?
Alan West.
It
was Don Huffines, and it was Chad Prater for
Yeah.
the most part. There was other, and I don't mean to say anything about Chad, but there was other people that were running also. Trump got way out ahead of that and was like, yeah, I hear it. I'm going with Abbott.
Yeah, I mean, it was a clear...
The thing is that he hasn't done that in this race. He could.
He has not done it in this race.
He could have come out and said, I'm all in for Cornyn. He's been a great partner of mine here in D.C. He could have gone to Paxton and, hey, Texas has the best attorney general. He'd make a great ally up in Washington. You haven't seen that happen. So it's kind of an interesting race because, and this is where we've talked about this, some of the splintering of MAGA, I think you're going to see some of that in the Senate race.
Yeah.
Where you're going to have more of your traditional Republican MAGA is going to go more towards Cornyn, and maybe some of your new addition / farther to the right MAGA is going to go in line with Paxton.
There are lines from Cornyn and Paxton directly into the White House.
Yeah.
That is why he hasn't made his decision yet. I don't know. I'm assuming I'm going to say $20 he doesn't make an endorsement on the Senate race.
Yeah, I would not expect him to make an endorsement in the race. I'd be surprised if he comes out and endorses anybody. If he does, it means that somebody's internal polling or the president's internal polling shows that one of the three candidates is a standout, going to win it without going to a runoff.
Especially if we see how the Democratic candidates develop.
Well, that's where we go next, right? Man, you want to talk about shifting sands.
It's the shuffle over there.
So first we have Mr.
Talarico.
Yeah, I'm just trying, Mr. Blasphemy, whatever, the whole Jesus' birth supports abortion, Democrat, pastor wannabe. Yeah. He looked like he had a real good shot. He was the hot commodity, up and coming Dem, getting on Joe Rogan, that's where Wesley Hunt had his big break as he was on Rogan.
Sure.
Here comes James Talarico with his, fake gospel. And Colin Allred jumps in, right? He's got money.
Name recognition. Traditional Democrat support. But his campaign never got any traction. I don't know what the deal with that was.
Because the thing about Colin Allred is he's kind of boring.
Yeah. There's
nothing exciting about him. And at the end of the day, if you're going to flip a Senate seat in the state of Texas, if you're the Dems, you've got to have somebody like Beto, who is not not a rocket scientist, but the whole skateboarding and Whataburger thing gave him some personality.
Yeah.
And it got people almost like a cultish figure they could get behind. Colin Allred never inspired that. But then we have the estimable Congresswoman from Congressional District 30, Jasmine Crockett. Jumping in, the Crockett crew.
I love it.
She jumps in.
Cannot be more excited about this.
Allred jumps out. So you're going to have Crockett and James Talarico going up at it against each other in the Democrat primary for kind of it's a little bit of like the soul of the Democratic Party of Texas, right?
Yeah.
Because they are two very different candidates.
Very different
They have
candidates.
very different visions. They have very different styles.
I think they bring out different voters too.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So that'll be supremely interesting to see how that race goes. If the gloves come off, you know, to start off with, Jasmine Crockett has been launching herself as like the anti-Trump candidate, which is a really, really smart position to take in a midterm. You know, usually the party that's not in power, the party that doesn't have control over the White House, does disproportionately well in a midterm.
Mm-hmm.
So if Jasmine Crockett's whole campaign is, I'm the anti-Trump, that might, I mean, that's not a bad play. I think Trump is still too popular in Texas for that to carry in the general. I would expect her to like shift for the general, but that might be enough to get past Talarico in the primary.
I agree. Yeah, Jasmine Crockett is taking her weave out right now, and she's going to jump on Talarico. And this is where he's already kind of starting to play this Democratic thing where he's kind of sowing his own demise, where he's like, I'm happy that, whatever, black woman is jumping into the race, where we're excited about that. I'm interested to see like where this leads the party, because I'm in the Democratic chat groups, you know, on Facebook and whatnot, and they're already going at it. And I guess it's kind of a good thing, like that they're, you know, already debating and kind of having this conversation. But I think there's already very clearly a lot of worry that Jasmine Crockett does better in a primary. But in the general, I do not think, or they're not thinking at this moment that she's going to do good in a general election. That's inside Democratic chats.
Man, I tell you. So here are my thoughts on it. One is, I think she definitely does better in a general, or in a primary. I'm sorry, in a primary.
Yeah.
I think Jasmine Crockett will have, you know, obviously she has a strong base support in Dallas. She'll have a ton of votes in Dallas. Mm-hmm. She'll have almost all of the Dallas Democrat establishment behind her, pushing her here.
Yeah.
She will probably also do well in San Antonio, or not San Antonio, in Houston.
Yeah.
And there's just so many voters in those two cities.
Yeah.
That it's really, really hard to overcome that. And
she was actually in Houston not too long ago. We talked about that recently. She went to Houston to help primary for some people.
And then the other part about it for Talarico is he kind of wasted his momentum. There was a point in time where that guy coming off of Rogan, you know, he was leading the charge against school choice. Like, he was viral. He was out there. And then his momentum just starting to fizzle.
There was nothing to do.
And then now with Crockett stepping into it, she is taking all of the media attention. Now, this goes back to like the issues with campaigning and watching how campaigns work. You can have a candidate that has a ton of pop when they announce, and then their campaign just totally falls apart because they don't have a professional campaign staff to be able to carry them through. What I will say about Jasmine Crockett, she is, I think, either the second or third highest grossing congressional fundraiser right now. So she's raising millions and millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. She will have a full-on professional campaign team that should be able to take her over the edge. The thing I don't know is that I don't know if the fake South Dallas affect that she puts on is going to work in other parts of the state.
I think it's going to go great with the black vote, which obviously is a huge voting demographic in the Democratic primary. I want to say Talarico kind of takes everything else. It's odd though. I mean, because James, I don't know. This is it's a black woman against a white man, essentially, who doesn't have a ton of charisma. He is very well spoken, right? He is very well spoken. So I don't know. I kind of want Crockett to win this thing.
So that's where we get to the general.
Right.
And a lot of this, from the Republican standpoint, this determines, like, well, who's going to do what in the general.
Yeah.
Because, at least in my opinion, the strongest Republican general candidate is Cornyn. Cornyn regularly just destroys voter, like, in the general. This is why the Democrats, up to this point, this is me looking at it, the Democrats have never seriously challenged Cornyn because he always smokes his opponents in the general. I mean, I was used this as a piece of trivia. For the longest time, from like 2016 up until I think 2024, during all of those elections in Collin County, very red county, Paxton's home county, John Cornyn had the highest general election turnout because he gets the Republican vote, and then he gets a lot of the moderate vote. He even gets some Democrats that are like, yeah, I guess he's fine.
Yeah.
You know, he's not somebody that's going to drive me nuts him being on there. He always does very well in the general. Paxton doesn't usually do as well in the general. His strength is the primary.
Yeah.
And so I think the Democrats are looking at it and saying, well, there's blood in the water with Cornyn, and there's a chance he might lose in the primary. And if it's our candidate against Paxton in the general, we're going to be able to flood the press with all these negative stories about Paxton, the infidelity, the criminal charges, the cases that have been brought against him. We're going to just be able to flood with the media,
relitigate
with all
of
that. This negativity, right? All of this stuff about Paxton, and we'll either have James or Jasmine on the other side, which are some of our better candidates in Texas to be able to run. Yeah, I think that's the play the Democrats have.
I mean, that's definitely what they're hoping. If I was a Democratic strategist, I would definitely be hoping that Paxton picks up. Tough. Like there's and now they're all of a sudden doing flash polls. So if like it's like 12 seconds in, there's a flash poll of like Crockett versus Cornyn. But Crockett is on record saying that you can't beat Cornyn. She's already.
I don't think that I don't think that Talarico or Crockett could beat Cornyn in the general.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What do I know? I get paid $0.00 to do politics. Not my job. But there's a lot of the momentum and the vitriol that Crockett and Talarico would have running against Paxton. That's just not there with Cornyn.
Yeah, it's not there.
It's the same reason. I mean, the reason that Cornyn is strong in the general is the same reason that he doesn't make the base happy in the primary. Sort of the fun double-edged sword of politics. But can't talk about Senate the whole time. That is top of the ticket.